90% of humanity's problems at the moment, the sense of disillusionment with ourselves and with our lives and with each other and large corporations and this increased polarity, at the core of it is lack of trust. And it can be remedied by an understanding of how the brain works. So let me explain this discovery, which in 2007 at the University of Minnesota, which I'll include here, and this was repeated in 2020, that there's actually a subconscious punishment mechanism for unethical behavior. That there's a part of the brain called the anterior cingulate cortex, which fires less and less the further you are down the ethical spectrum. So the less ethical you are, it doesn't fire. And this part of the brain is very important for alerting you when you're just about to make a bad decision. In other words, the less ethical you are, the worse your decision making is going to be, which was discovered thousands of years ago and put into spiritual texts. And what they didn't realize, I believe then, was they were actually discovering the subconscious punishment mechanism. And they were calling that this was God punishing you. But actually, it's the subconscious that they discovered that was punishing you, because as hunter-gatherers, we actually needed this part of the brain to be like this. Otherwise, the clan wouldn't survive. If the clan couldn't trust each other, the clan would fall apart and wouldn't be able to survive. So this is an evolved mechanism over hundreds of thousands of years. So this was put into spiritual texts, into doctrines, and then the main ones of to not lie or to do unto others as you would have them do unto you are basic theologies that I believe they were doing was observing humanity's and people's lives turning to hell, and then putting this into stories, and then those stories repeated over thousands of years, getting the most common stories, and then putting them into spiritual texts. And the same tenets of those are seen around the world, with all religions around the world, the same basic tenets of these. And I believe that was observation of the subconscious, of the less ethical you are, the more your life is going to turn to hell. So with the fall away from God, when Galileo said, we are to the center of the universe and proved it, and then with more and more scientific understanding and with the printing press and more independent thought and fearing God less, people moved away from these and started making their own decisions and their own ethical decisions, and that got us moving further away from the basic substrate which humanity has been predicated upon. Now, why we need this so badly is because if we move away from trust, then humanity starts falling apart. And that's what we're seeing at the moment. After about 600 years since we kind of started moving away from this fear that actually God is going to punish us. But now, with this understanding that it's actually in the subconscious that we can't get away from, I believe that if we start understanding this more and more, it'll bring more trust back into our lives, trust of ourselves to make better decisions, so less anxiety because you start making better and better decisions, and trust of each other, trust of large corporations to make sure that they're doing whatever they can to save the environment or whatever they can to help us, each other, trust of each other, so less polarity between genders or between the wealthy and the poor, more trust there, and more trust of governments and especially of large corporations. So I believe just by understanding how the brain works will really help us to live a more happy and positive future. Thank you.